Alright, it's a gloomy New Year's Eve 2022 at Lakeland Worldwide. So I figured it's time to do a shop tour. We haven't done one in a long time, so let's see what's going on here. Here we're in the auto shop. Guess we'll start down here. There's our diagnostic card, kind of disorganized. All our factory tools and stuff in here, scope stuff. Brake lathe, AC machines. There's an old bearing finisher I bought here this summer. That's to finish semi bearing shells. So years ago you used to be able to buy semis, you know, like everything was like 80 under. Well, you can take this machine with those insert adapters in there, and then you grind down the bearing down to whatever you need. There's a V10 engine we're going to put in a customer's Ford truck. There's a transmission for a Nissan, I think. There's a 46 Chevy pickup we're doing some work on this winter. This is a military Humvee customer bought. We're doing head gaskets on. Getting it apart. It's a lot of work. It's hard to believe our military depended on a 6.5 liter to get to win a war, but they did. I don't know what we're doing with this Equinox. I do know what we're doing with this Acadia Denali. It's a 3.6 GM's best engine, haha. Had work done elsewhere. We got Dorman variable cam timing actuators. Well, it supposedly had some work done someplace not too long ago. Well, the chain, when it came in here, the chain wasn't even on this head. So, of course, it jumped time and bent the valves in the head. But not only did it not bend the valves, it broke the caps. So it hit so hard it broke the cam caps. So this head's junk. So we'll source another head. You can see the tensioners all the way expanded out. This is a big job. Excuse me. That's a Nissan that's getting a CVT transmission. Over here is car transmission land. This is a M2R2, I think is what it's called. No, not R2D2. It's a manual transmission out of a Ford 2005 F-150. So it had some bearings go bad. So parts actually just got here finally. So we'll get that done. Here's a ZF HBW 250 out of actually a launch boat. They're called. They pick up passengers out here in Lake Erie. There's the main shaft out of that M2R2 Ford. It's our alignment rack. There's that Oldsmobile we're finally getting done. This is the one we did the engine in. Put Sniper fuel injection on. This thing turned out really, really sweet. So unfortunately, we put a dent in the customer's hood, so we're getting that we're getting that fixed. It's that was our fault, so that's why there's no hood on it. So just waiting to basically. Once the body shop gets the hood done, we'll take the car down there and then we can drive it. But I don't know, we may not do most of the driving until next spring now, because we've had this car since May. But it's 71 Olds Cutlass convertible. Over here's tire land. We're still doing some reconfiguring from when we put our mezzanine, which I'll show you here in a minute. That's a PV33 core I bought. This is a job. This is a P44R. So out of a Chris Craft, suppose it didn't have reverse. There's our Hunter Auto 34R tire changer and our Road Force Elite Balancer. That's a very nice piece of equipment. That thing can balance tires like you won't believe. That roller and everything. We'll head into the machine shop now. Here's our Rottler SG9 MTS. It's got a Chrysler 318 head on there. Gotta do some machine work on that. Here's our Storm Vulcan 85C Blockmaster. Excuse me. That's what we service heads and blocks and stuff on. There's our injector machine. There's some big block heads that are done. Small block head I gotta check. There's that crankshaft I turned for that 620 gray marine. Came out nice. 20 on the rods, 30 on the mains. And here's our machine shop area now. That's our mezzanine that we just put in. There's our Rottler. Well, that's a Rottler. It's a Robbins VR10 valve grinder. You just ground those Chrysler valves there. Those are there for that Chrysler 318. There's that 620 block. It's out of the shop blaster. We just got to do the machine work on it now. We got to put hardened seats in it. So we got to do that. I haven't touched the transmission yet. We're going to take that apart and reseal it and check everything for that old 620. So there's a spring. These are the springs for the Chrysler 318. There's part of the transmission out of the launch boat. Output shaft. There's our rod heater right here. This is what we use to heat the pins up. Fit pins on press fit. More shelves of miscellaneous tool. Here's our new wet mag that we got. Bought at an auction in Cleveland. I already found cracks. This is one of the cranks that's cracked. That big race semi, so it's junk. This thing's nice. Now we can wet mag crankshafts, which is a big deal. What else we got here? Here's our Storm Vulcan 15 AW crank grinder. I've had that about 2 years now, I think. There's all the accessories for it, some hubs. There's our Rottler F2 VB boring bar. This came from Precision Engines in Brooks Roadie. It's a nice bar. There's a Chrysler 360 that just rebuilt the Paragon transmission on. So gotta paint it and test it. I tested it on the dyno earlier this week. But customer's having some issues with it, and I want to make sure we check the engine and everything with it. So I have a 1978 28-foot Lures. This is a big Yamaha 6LYA out of a Island Hopper. So this is a 340 horse Yamaha Marine diesel. It's in for a complete overhaul. It's got a MG 501, I think, twin disc on it. I don't think we're messing with the twin disc. Behind it's our CV616 hone with our CH20, I think, line hone wing. There's a big block, a 502 block we're working on. There's all the line hone mandrels. It's all set up to line hone. Here's a Velvet Drive 5000, and I'm going to sell a guy a used one. I'm going to take it apart and make sure it's good since this is junk. There's our transmission dyno. This thing's awesome. Had this custom built. You've seen that if you follow my stuff. Got a flow gauge and everything we put on it. Friends at Lakeland built that. There's a transmission that's done for one of the launch boats. There's another one there to do. This area is nice here. This is underneath the new mezzanine with the lights. There's also going to be an assembly area. Here's a 318 we're putting together. So that's what those heads are for. Took the transmission out of the gray marine, went through that, and bolted on this engine because we're taking the gray out. Can't tell you how much I like this underneath this, man. This is so awesome under here. Just gave us so much more room. There's our crank straightening press, Storm Vulcan. If you follow my stuff, you've seen me straighten cranks with this using the peening method. There's the intake for the Chrysler 318. There's a 292Y block we're doing for a guy's street rod, building a 1930 Model A. Until we found the crank was broke, so we're waiting for parts there. This is some Toyota 4Runner heads here we gotta go through for a guy. There's a Cushman engine that we're waiting for parts on. These are parts for jobs that are in process right here. This is the dirt room. This is the KI, Kansas Instruments jet wash. There's our KI shot blaster. This is what we shoot our cast iron aluminum blocks and heads and parts with. There's an oven. There's our rotary air compressor. Ultrasonic tank for carburetors, plus a whole 5-gallon bucket of carb cleaner. We still do it the old school way. Glass bead machine. And a surface, well, it's a belt grinder. You can resurface heads and stuff on here. There's another head for that 318. There's some parts that have been washed and haven't been blasted yet for that Chrysler. Or, excuse me, gray 620. There's an LS crank the guy brought in, just wants checked out. 5.3, 6.0, one of the two. There's our hydraulic hose. This is our hydraulic hose area. Make tons of hoses. We got tons of fitting, 4-wire. We make high pressure lines up to 5,000 psi. So, all these fittings. Oh my God, this is nothing. This used to be toolboxes right here. A friend of mine built this custom wood thing so we could move all this stuff over, because we used to have this stuff on pallet racks. This is carburetor starter alternator land here. Here's our Crumless 2450 test bench. This is what we test alternator starters and generators on. After we rebuild or repair them. There's an old coil off an old 41 to 37 to 41 Ford, I think. Excuse me. Using an old Herbrand coil tester. Here's the carburetor off that Chrysler. One of the last Chrysler 318s off the line, and so they switched to Holly for a very short time. There's a starter alternator that we checked out. It's good. Looks like we got a generator here off an old Oliver for repair. So this is starter land here. Looks like we're rebuilding the starter off a Chrysler. That's an MDT series starter. It's pretty burned up. Fields are junk. Bushings out of the center plate. So there's a rotor out of a Chris Craft alternator. This is an ALE 6207, looks like. So that would be a Chris Craft Q. Here's the fuel pump and distributor for the 620 gray, all done. There's the generator. It's already been converted to 12 volt. The starter, which has been converted to 12 volt. So that stuff checked out good because it looked like it was just done. So that's ready for us to put it back together. Let's go up here in our mezzanine. We moved all our wet exhaust hose up here, so that is really, really nice. And we moved all our engine parts up here. These are all the valves and bearings and lifters, just soft plugs. These are rod and main bearings here, various brands, cam bearings, gasket paper. A lot of stuff. Here's hoses. This is nice. This is our marine hose here for diesel engines. Nice view here of the shop. Pretty heated coils here. Here's rocker arm pieces, push rods, rings and pistons. You know, getting everything, it's hard now because like Hastings, for instance, they, you know, they don't hardly make anything, it seems like. So we don't stock what we used to. Of course, there's a lot many more engines now too. Most of the time, until COVID, you could get everything overnight, but of course the pandemic's changed everything. Some pistons and stuff we got in stock, oil pump screens. So all kinds of old stuff. Neat stuff. It's not junk, right? Transmission. This is marine transmission parts here. These are Alto kits for Velvet Drive, ZF, Hearth, Paragon. There's some Paragon stuff there for a P21 series, P31. Velvet Drive gaskets. Paragon stuff down there. There's more Velvet Drive and bearings and stuff. There's ZF output, filters, pumps. drums, more pumps, more valves. Here's clutch plates, reverse. There's some ZF stuff there. There's Alto stuff here for V-drives. Cast iron V-drives, some Paragon, some nuts. This is some machine shop special tools, heated coils, some old hones and stuff we don't use. There's a Chevy Vega cam tool. We're probably never going to use that again. There's a Model T axle spreader, that green thing down there. There's some rotors, more hydraulic fittings. There's some starter armatures. These are timing chains. This is GM stuff here, new front covers and for 350s, small block Chevys, big blocks, windage trays. There's some alternator stators down there. This is the back side of the Marine transmission land. Here's the camshafts we stock, mostly Marine. Various brands, more fittings, and a bunch of old manuals we keep up here all the way back to the 40s. Stuff with no bindings and stuff on them yet, but man, they're handy as hell. Another look at the shop from upstairs. So we'll walk downstairs and go up front. This is our parts area. This is our check-in area. Here's all the specials for customers, wheel bearing, you know, there's wheel bearings and stuff there. This is stuff we're waiting on, probably mostly waiting on us to get the job done. Some of it's pickup stuff, customer pickup. There's batteries and brake pads and rotors. Calipers, more brake pads. Some old Continental stuff there. This is all Crusader Marine engine parts here. This whole row with spark plugs and Cole-Hersey switches. This is Stars and Alternators car. This is what's left of Prestolite. All this stuff's obsolete, just leftover stuff we've got. Got gauges down there, Leesonville. Carburetor kits. And these alternators and starters over here are new units that we sell. And this is from here on, this is stuff that we build here in-house. Stuff you can't buy. It's like MDT 7021, that's a Chrysler starter, 7022. Those are so expensive, we can still build those cheaper than what you can buy the aftermarket Arcos and stuff for. Here's all in our starter parts. These are all electrical rebuilding parts here. This is Felpro gaskets and BCA NTN bearings. Those are hub assemblies for modern cars. This is electrical and carburetor stuff to be done or has been done. So a lot of this stuff is already done. A lot of it's winter work for people. We got a water pump there to rebuild. This is our sales counter area. This is where customers come in. Batteries. Chemicals. All kinds of stuff. Back here's fuel pumps and stuff. These are car electric pumps. These are fuel pump kits for old fuel pumps that we still rebuild, mostly Marine. These are car pumps here. Front end pieces. TRW, which is now Delphi, so TRW is no longer in the aftermarket suspension components from what I've been told. So we got some Dorman, some other looks like some pistons over there yet. Belt tensioners, thermostats, more front end stuff, bulbs, Crusader parts books. spark plug wire sets are something you don't see a lot of anymore. You know, nothing's got plug wires, but marine stuff does. That's what all the blue is. This is all Volvo Penna and Sherwood water pumps. We don't have that much Volvo. This is all Sierra. Wix filters. It's all still Sierra to the right. This is all standard ignition. Some AC Delco stuff. We have some guys that still want AC Delco for caps and rotors and so forth, so we still keep all that. And this is all standard ignition, emissions, caps, rotors, sensors. And this is behind the counter right here, so here's where our guys answer your calls and service our customers right here. So that wraps up the tour. Happy New Year. We wish the best of you guys in 2023, and we thank you for your continued support of us, so we really appreciate it.